Yeah.
And
Hey, it's really good to see you and to talk to you today because we have this crazy idea of getting you over here
hmm yeah, right.
to
Yeah.
do a talk and a workshop. So
hmm
just out of the blue, we have this idea to do this, and I thought let's talk today for a bit,
hmm
so people can get to know you a little bit more, and we can also talk a little bit more of what we're going to offer because we were
Yeah.
so quick with getting the information out.
hmm
So, yeah, I just wanted to ask you a couple of things like, um, so you're an astrologer, right?
hmm
An astrophotographer.
Right.
What is that? What is an astrophotographer? What does an
It's
astrophotographer do?
well, I do two different types of astrophotography. So deep space astrophotography, that's with
Mhm.
telescopes, and so bigger telescopes and longer exposures and big camera equipment. And
Mhm.
I photographed galaxies like 30 million miles away. So 30 million light years away. Sorry, not miles. 30 million light years away. It's even further. So um, that puts me in contact with the great celestial realm. And
Mm.
that's how I discovered that astrology that I was following in the mainstream wasn't lining up with what I was seeing in the sky.
Right.
So that's what had me look into, well, why is it? Why isn't it connected? And and um and there's a reason. I mean, there's an explanation to it because of precession, and we'll get into that in the workshop. But
Hmm.
the bigger question is, well, why are we still not following it? Why does the entire planet pretty much know their zodiac sign, but it's the wrong zodiac sign according to what we believe astrology to be, which is somebody tells you you're Capricorn, you imagine the sun was in the constellation of Capricorn, right? And that's not the case. Right.
Right. So
So
that's
this,
how you actually discovered, right? That
yeah. hmm
that what we're being told is not correct to what you see when you literally look
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
What we can do too, even with a simple app or so. Yeah.
Right.
So you're already deep into the subject, and I thought let's start really simple because
hmm
actually there's the most simple question is what is astrology actually? We all know something about sun sign, moon, but what is astrology? What is this whole astrology thing about?
So from what I know so far, and this is a lifelong journey, is that astrology is a language of sophisticated technology involving our quantum entangled universe and our place in it within our solar system. So, so it's highly advanced, and astrology is the language that makes it simple enough for the common person to be able to interpret if they apply themselves. It's really easy. But
Mhm.
when you really look deep into it, it's a huge science that was left to us, a language that was left to
Yes, and
us.
that also brings us straight away to ancient civilizations, right? That somehow did not have the technology we have today, but they knew a lot.
Yeah,
They knew a lot. They knew about the stars.
yeah.
Oh, even
Well,
my Frisian ancestry, my Frisian background, we knew about the stars. We built mounds connected to the
yeah,
stars. So that makes it interesting, huh? That
yeah.
you know?
Well, that's the next level. When you're doing sidereal astrology, if you look at what it means, sidereal means star, star
Mm-hmm.
time, connecting, star aligned, star time. Um, and Akashic also means the same thing, stars, star
Yeah.
connection. Akashic record, star record. Sidereal astrology chart, star record chart. So it's the
Right.
same thing. So what do we know about the Akashic records is that information comes from the Akash and has no explanation of how you're receiving it, but somehow multiple people can receive the same message or a, sort of like evolve on a certain level that they can access certain amount of information in their Akashic field. It's a field of information. So astrology is, especially sidereal, is that. So this is why the ancients knew a lot, because they had very little distraction away from the stars.
Right.
And we use the star as a clock, the great year clock, the precessional clock, where we have the spring equinox and we can figure out what age we're in by where the sun rises on the spring equinox. That's how we tell the age that we're in. So the ancients left the language of each constellation. What is it? What is the energy of the constellation? Energy of Pisces is going to be different than energy of Aries. In the energy of Aries, you have more warlike, dominant energies, aggressive and persistent energies. In the age of Pisces, we have more separation from that, but we have polarity of spirit and matter.
Right.
Opposite of Pisces is Virgo, matter, mother, creation. So this is all the language that if you study the
And
language, you get it.
we feel this every day, huh? It's like
When you're in it.
we're in it. Like so, and so that's so interesting because like you said, it's your Akash record, it's your guidance for life, your manual for life, if you know your birth chart, astrologically. And we are connected with this every day, and we don't realize it, that it's everyday influence of the zodiac, stars and the planets that go through it with us.
Yeah. I mean, you have to ask yourself the question. So there's a zodiac horoscope found in pretty much every publication, right? Mainstream publication has a zodiac horoscope in the back. Everyone follows it. Everyone knows their sign. You go into a room and you say, who here knows their birth sign? And they go raise their hand. So now they are aligned with astrology. Is that important to control or manage your life, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we already made that agreement. That's an agreement we have. Astrology can manage life. So now, if we know that, then we can see that the mainstream somehow is allowing this to perpetuate, to follow a false zodiac. Then you have to ask yourself the question: who is in charge here, and why are they allowing this? And who benefits from this? Because we sure don't. Because we're not aligning with our highest Akashic potential. So
no, I'm supposed to be a Sagittarius, and well, you read my chart. I'm not.
no, you're a Fucus.
I'm Scorpio Fucus, yeah, and that's interesting. That's well. So here we go. We are aligned to the stars, to the energies. And as you know, like a couple of years ago, I somehow had to follow the number 13. Was working with a numerology 1 to 12, and I was like, 12? 12? Why does it stop with 12? Oh, wait a minute. We have 12 months. We have a clock that goes 12. But 13 is death and rebirth. And that made me look and figure out and try to find out what is 13. And then I found the serpent with the same meaning. And then I found the serpent bearer, 13th zodiac sign, and that's how I got in connection with you and started studying with you. And then the first time you read my chart, you said, well, your sun sign is on the cusp of Scorpio Fucus. And then I realized, how can I not find a Fucus? Because that's what I radiate, right? So, and this is the proof that you're connected to the stars if you learn to listen to it. And that brings us to the 13th zodiac sign, because that's what you're going to talk about in the evening talk and in the workshop. So can you bring us there? Who is he?
Well, if you look in all ancient civilizations, there's always one wisdom person. Usually it's the form of what we know now as Christ. Right now, their name is Jesus, but it's the Christos consciousness. It's the one who can harness the serpent energy, the kundalini, the energy of the cosmic into a human body. And it's known in Egypt, they call it the serpent of chaos. When you see it, when we go to Egypt, I'm going to take you, we see it everywhere, but primarily in the Valley of the Kings, where the pharaohs are buried in their tombs. Because what it said is when you pass away from this, when you pass on from this realm, you go into what's called the Amduat, which is what? The Sea of Stars. And you have to go through what? 12 hours of night, 12 zodiac signs, 12 night. And you have to battle the serpent of chaos. And it's usually, I'm going to try to share a photo if we can get to it, we have time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's usually that. It's, can you battle the serpent of chaos and be reborn again as in your consciousness? That's the idea. Can you not lose consciousness as you traverse the 12 hours of the night, the Amduat? Because then if you can't do that, you will be reborn. And if you
Right.
look, primarily I'm going to show you the Ramses 1, 2, 3 onward, the tombs of the Ramses. Really study the word and the way it's written. Ramses, Rameses, it's a re, and science, mises in gemology. Mises is to regenerate life. So Rameses, reborn life. That's the Ram.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you get there? You have to traverse through the 12 hours of the night, battle the serpent of chaos, and you come out as a Rameses, reborn again.
Right.
And you notice Quetzalcoatl is feathered serpent, Viracocha, feathered serpent. The Aztec god, I'm totally forgetting his name, but he has two serpents in his hands. Then you have the symbol of medicine, Asclepius, serpents on the staff.
Yeah.
Symbol of a fucus, serpents on the staff. So battling the serpent. Now, what gets really interesting is the 12 hours of the night, the Duat. The Amenta is also what it's called. We have to go into the Amenta and go through the darkness and battle the 12 hours of the night. Well, if you look up what the word Amenta means, it means two things. It means the underworld, but also earth. So you believe that we are on earth battling the serpent of chaos of the 12 hours of the night, the 12 zodiac signs, right?
The 12 months.
12 months in the which is why if you look closer, the astrology chart in the house system is read counterclockwise, which is friction, which is disharmony. We are in disharmony in the 12 right now, in darkness.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that makes it a little crazy. Like, what are we doing?
so when you reach that, let me just make one more point. When you reach that, which is what all the serpent bearers have done, most of us know Christ, what happens? I study the direct connection to Ophiuchus, which is Asclepius, but even more is Imhotep of Egypt. The Christ, Viracocha, Kukulkan, I'm forgetting the Aztec god. They all were same story, similar stories. Normal humans, non-royal human beings, humble, born to normal parents, Mary and Joseph, right? Same as Imhotep, born to regular parents. I believe they were accountants or something like that. Then from living in righteousness according to, the highest religious order or cosmic law order, Ma'at, M-A-A-T, the laws of Ma'at, which is where we get 10 commandments from. If you live by those laws, you will become like Imhotep. You will be the Christ consciousness. You will become the serpent bearer. So they all have that story, that they all, at the end of their lives, reach ascension, and they're no longer on earth. So it's normally said they're dead. Well, okay, where are their bodies? All of those gods, those humans that have become gods, have no bodies found.
Right.
You can find, if they're a mortal human, you can find that body. So this is what the serpent bearer is capable of. This is the story of the Fucus. They say they killed the Fucus. That's his so-called story. they killed him and put him in the star to celebrate his work. But what he was doing was throwing the balance off of the life and the death cycle on Earth. Souls coming in balance into the underworld because he was teaching the laws and the art of resurrection and immortality through the elixir of life, which is the Christos energy.
Yeah. That's the whole story. So that's a focus. Yeah. So it's amazing because you find this in every ancient civilization, every ancient culture. You find all these symbols, right? And in the Bible, there's also a serpent. It's a bit misunderstood, I guess, in the Bible. The Bible is a whole different chapter. But now when we go to, let's say we go to the workshop you're going to give and when you're in the Netherlands, we're going to work with charts, right? With the astrology chart. So that's like a tangible, visible explanation of what we feel and experience every day, 24/7, from birth to death. And there we also have a fucus, which you don't see in any other birth charts if you go to the mainstream astrology, like tropical. So if you read a chart and there is, let's say, a sun sign or another sign in a fucus, what does it do to us when we reconnect to that, when we read it? What happens? You experience this every day when reading charts, like so.
Yeah, well, that's your cosmic shaman purpose. So we all have a cosmic shaman in us. So we're not just flesh and bones. We come into life with a purpose and we have these certain gifts. So that's where you find your cosmic gifts, which it's always the hardest because that's being suppressed. You're not, the controllers don't want you here. See, and your cosmic origins and your cosmic gifts and your bigger picture and your galactic family and all these things. That's the language they don't want. And when you consume, stay in order, Saturnian realm order, the square of Saturn. Just live by the clock, and that's it.
So, but something happens when you read, right? I've experienced it too. When you start reading the original blueprint, the original Akash record for a client, something happens. Emotions come up, they get the shivers, there's like, they have epiphanies, things fall into place. And even after readings, I've experienced it too, that after readings, things start to move with people because they're realigning again with their original vibration, let's say like that. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's exactly, it's like, imagine, you're living in a desert your whole life and you're like thirsty every single day and you're just used to it and it's just a struggle. And then all of a sudden you realize that you have to remove this big obstacle and then all of a sudden the water comes gushing in and it's like changes everything. And people can go a little crazy because it's a thing that I call ACD, astrology collapse disorder, because they associate a sign and it gets affirmed by the mainstream society, like, oh, you're so Gemini, you're so Virgo, you're so, it's like, it follows that. And then it's like, oh no, like when you really understand astrology, you actually don't necessarily want to follow the complete pattern of your chart. You want to find your way out of that chart, believe it or not. That's also very confusing for people. It's like, yeah, you're that, but you need to move away from that. You've come to transcend that lesson to become bigger. So we look at the North Node as well. So that becomes another kind of like, wait a second, like, no, your chart is not really to identify you. It's to identify, what blueprint you have and where you're going and how you're getting out of here.
Yeah, I was so surprised that, okay, we look at the sun sign, the moon sign, ascendant, but there's so much more to discover. When you go deeper into it, that's so much more interesting than just knowing, I hardly look at my sun sign anymore. It's like there's so much more that's more speaking to me.
Yeah.
In my case, I have a Merkaba. Some people have a kite or a big trine, which
Mm-hmm.
speaks a lot to what they have to do or what they are being supported through or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole different world than what's about astrology than what we've been shown in the
Mm-hmm.
magazines, stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm a regression and reincarnation therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So Egypt is super interesting, of course, for me to go to find a deeper meaning about reincarnation. But I also learned it has everything to do with astrology
Mm-hmm.
because we have the past lives in astrology also. But the whole cycle of the zodiac, we're under the influence of it while we're on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So in what way does it help us, astrology, to progress into this fucus energy, let's say? Like we
Oh.
know that typical is keeping us away from it, right? It keeps us in the reincarnation loop.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we know.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. So what was the question again? I lost the actual.
Yeah. So maybe it wasn't a question. Maybe I'm just kind of figuring out, like, wait a minute, this whole 12 thing is the loop of being on Earth.
Oh,
No,
so
it's the karmic cycle. It's the karmic
yeah.
cycle actually that keeps us in this karmic situation. And we
Okay, so
all want to be enlightened.
find a copy of the Hermetica. It's the Hermetica. It's a really
Hmm.
short book. And there's a verse there, and this is what made me really kind of jump out of my seat. The Hermetica is similar to, it's a portion of the Emerald Tablets, but it's also where you can get, I don't want to say the Ten Commandments, but it's basically, Thoth is supposed to be connected to Moses. The story of Moses is the story of Thoth. So I think we froze from it. Did you freeze or am I frozen?
Yeah, you froze. You
So the
start to talk about Thoth.
is also the story of Moses. So he
Mm.
has so Thoth has a conversation with Atum, which is God. And one of the things that made me jump out my seat was there's a conversation with the gods, which is the planets, saying if you give if how are you gonna give you can't allow these humans to have the power of the light, is if you do, they're going to be too powerful for us to control. So we can't pretty much make them in our image. How are we going to manage this? And the tomb replies, don't worry. I'm going to build a mechanism in the sky that will control humans from birth until death. They'll be
Mm.
controlled by this mechanism. This mechanism is called the zodiac.
Uh-huh.
So the zodiac was created to control the human population on Earth. So now if you know that, then it's like, okay, sort of a trap. So now you have to read what your trap is made out of, because you want to be illuminated by the light.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be responsible enough to know how powerful the light is. So there's a big force against this.
Right. I always thought, like, well, we're here because we wanna, as a conscious soul, we wanna experience something in the physical. So
Mm-hmm.
to be here, we need to have all these energies that keeps us here.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, now we're not connected to the original energies anymore because of the tropical astrology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We also we get in this hypnosis, we can't go out. But
Right.
are you saying that the true zodiac is also a mechanism to keep us on Earth? Or is it to give us an experience on Earth? Because if you
Well,
know,
it depends. It depends. So remember how you said, you do the reincarnation regression therapist?
Mhm.
So that needs to happen. You need to be born already knowing this. So the Ramesses lineage, which is also then later on becomes the Ptolemy lineage. Ptolemy is not one person. Ptolemy is reincarnations. So you're remembering even before you come in, who is coming in. This is how strong it is, this reincarnation with the ancients. They know who is coming in. So they're prepared for the arrival of the great pharaoh to be born again, right? Because the relationship with the Egyptians to death, what I was explaining, it's it's the similar relationship to we have of just falling asleep.
Ah,
So
yeah.
when you pass on and somebody passes on, it's like me telling you, Frederieke, I'm gonna go sleep. I'll see you in the morning. And
Right.
then when it's in the morning, I might be a different form, but you know exactly who I am. So we continue the work. But if I didn't remember, and if I woke up every morning with amnesia and didn't remember who I was, how much progress will we do in spiritual ascension? Soul evolution, pretty much zero.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're born with amnesia. This is the whole program,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And
So
sometimes people come to Earth that do remember.
yeah, well, that's people who have like usually it's the sign like what you have and I have in our charts is we have Merkabahs.
Yeah.
Merkabah is the star seed. It's where the consciousness can travel in between the two realms without losing memory.
Yeah. And I know that there are
Yeah.
always little things that I know before
Mhm.
or remember or just,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's
Yeah.
really weird because you think everybody has that, but that's not the case.
No, no, no.
No.
That's for sure. And then, it's important to know that that is not what gets nurtured on this planet currently. That energy is not what's wanted.
No.
So we go through what we go through because we have that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it also gives us the opportunity to share like what all the things you're sharing right now. That's super interesting and
Hmm.
important. So
Hmm.
that's a good thing about it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so you're coming to the Netherlands. We're gonna do an evening talk.
Hmm.
You were in the movie Code 12.
Hmm.
People are responding. We want to see that movie, so maybe we can organize that too. I don't know. It's
I think
just
we'll figure that out. Either I have a
yeah,
copy of it or I'll have it on my Amazon account and then we'll just run it off my computer onto a projector or something.
something like that. We will
Yeah.
try to figure it out.
Yeah.
We also have the workshop, and the workshop you're actually going to teach us how to read a
Yeah.
chart, like the
Hmm.
first steps. You're offering also the online course,
Hmm.
so people have a couple of months time to go again through the whole program to learn more. And we are offering 2 live Zoom classes. So after practicing, people can say, okay, I have questions, and we go through it, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we offer for the day workshop.
Hmm.
And then there's another a cool thing coming up. It's the plan we want to do is
Game plan. Yeah.
the main plan is to go to Egypt to study. I want to study from my whole
Hmm.
reincarnation job of work. I want to go into that. Want to focus on Imhotep,
Hmm.
and we're going to make a lot of videos.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a virtual tour. Basically, when you watch the videos, and I think you shared a few of them, or you will share a few from my last
I
time.
can, yeah, I can.
Yeah, I was there for 3 months. And basically, we carry a camera with us every time we enter into any type of site or temple. And we have professional tour guides, so it's not us walking around guessing what things mean, because there's a lot of that goes on. Maybe that's this, maybe no, we have a tour guide that brings us, reads everything for us, also explains, like certain things that they don't know. I mean, I taught a lot of these Egyptologists about cosmology and had them explain things differently on the walls that I saw because things show up different when you know cosmology stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
you read it. Yeah.
So the group, the whoever signs up for the virtual tour will be watching these videos as if they're there with us. And then along with that, we have a community page. So we'll interact with what did you think of this video? What did you see? I saw this, I saw that. What did you feel? We'll have live talks after that as well,
Yeah.
talking about the integration of certain things, because there's a lot of energy that moves when you walk through these temples. Like, for example, when I went through to the temple of Isis on the island of Phila, where the Imhotep shrine is. I had a really bad experience because there's a lot of Roman Catholic crosses stamped above Aung San, very like abrupt stamps and carvings and graffiti, Greek graffiti on top of sacred Egyptian sacred sculptures. It was just really terrible. And there's a story behind there where the priests were killed with a surprise attack. And that was the last temple to close by the Roman Empire, closed it. And I was really angry there. Like a lot of anger came up there. And so there's a lot that happens that people can process with us while we're on this journey. That's what it's called, temple transmissions. That's the name of the virtual tour. So the transmissions that we get through the temples, and you're coming with us on video, and you're saving a lot of money because a regular tour like that is $5,000.
Yeah,
I think
I
we're
know.
charging something. We have different price ranges for whatever, but 555 or 333 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
USD.
And the tour guide, Sahela, she is not just any guide, huh?
No, she's a well-known, pretty much one of the most famous Egyptologist tour guides in Egypt. Because if anybody understands or knows who John Anthony West is, she was his main guide. She was the one that took him through Egypt all the time for 30 years. And he is the one. So if you don't know John Anthony West, you look him up. But everybody knows the story. He's the one that has been fighting. He's passed away now, but he was the one that brought to the attention that the Sphinx is older than the age that they're telling us. The Sphinx is actually 10,000 years old, if not 25,000, 30,000 years old, because that Sphinx marks the age of Leo. Spring equinox facing to the east, the sun 10,000 years ago was in Leo. Then he says, well, we agree on that, right? Yes. Okay, well, how about we look at the erosion and we explain 10,000 years ago, this erosion did not exist. This type of rain did not exist. So now we got to go back another precessional cycle. So add another 25,000 years on that. That's how old the Sphinx could possibly be. So he's the one that made that. Oh, I think you froze a little bit.
Yeah, we're good now again. Yeah.
So he's the one that made that story. So everybody knows that story. So he's
Right.
she's his guide for 30 years. That's our guide through all of Egypt. We're so lucky to have her.
Yeah,
So,
that's wonderful. I saw a couple of your tour 2 years ago, and when she starts talking, information comes up. It's like, wow.
Oh yeah.
Just she knows so much, and it's a lot to process, but yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, that's the focus, to
Yeah.
be able to bring that to the audience also, because it's not just 8 days going from one temple to the other. No, it's focused, searching for the little signs. I know you have a different way of reading the hieroglyphs. It's you told me also it's you can read the images like or you can have them speak to you like
Right.
like a little pieces of consciousness, something like that.
Yeah. That's what I didn't know this. So what happened to me, that story was I was looking at the hieroglyphs, and so I was there for 3 months. So there were times where I would just go to the temples by myself and just sit there all day. Sometimes I do astrology readings while in the temples for people on video like this. And I was sitting there looking at the hieroglyphs, and I was able to read it because it makes a mental impression. So then I'm going like, this means, the rebirth. I read the whole thing, not, and then I see a Egyptologist tour guide on a regular tour, like, this is Ramses, this is this. I said, hey, come here for 1 second, 1 second. I said, what does that mean? And he goes, oh, that's the coronation name for Ramses the Third or whatever. I said, I kind of read that. He goes, yeah, he goes, and he read it to me. And like part of the name is M. It has an M in it. And it looks like the Virgo M, the mother. birth, to give birth. And if you look up the hieroglyph for birth, rebirth in Egyptian, it's actually an M, and it's usually seen as a woman. So the three legs, or her two legs and the one head coming out. And so I read that, and all of a sudden I'm reading the hieroglyphs. So then I look up, well, wait a second. What's the ancient Egyptian language? How does that sound? What is it? What's the alphabet? There's no phonetic library. There's no language.
Mhm.
The hieroglyphs, when they're interpreted to you currently by the Egyptologists, they're spoken in Arabic.
Yeah.
So they translate and they say in Arabic. And that's what was going on for me too, is I was listening to the translation and it wasn't vibrating correctly with me. The words
Mhm.
weren't. They're like, no, that's not right. And then when I was alone, the vibration came through. So yeah, there's no phonetic dictionary or library of ancient Egyptian language.
It's
'Cause-
interesting because it reminds me actually of telepathy.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the same when you work with plant medicine, you get these knowing
Yeah, right.
images that contain a whole understanding in
Mm-hmm.
just one image.
Mm-hmm.
And so it sounds to me like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I,
And
I told you that I when I was a little girl, I had this uh little thing of a pharaoh
oh yeah,
and the
right.
portrait.
Mm-hmm.
And about knowing something, I found it, I got it, and it was like, oh, I will go there one day.
Mm-hmm.
That's 44 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
And I had so many opportunities to book whatever. I never did it.
Yeah.
I never did it while I had so much the desire to go. But
Mm-hmm.
there's this knowing, like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
it will show up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
And it
good.
shows up in the right time. And now I am with the right focus, the right interest, and the right idea to go there. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
vibrating with your original
Yeah.
Akasha, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Hey, thank you so much. We can talk for hours, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
well, we'll save it for when people sign up for the tour because that's a
right.
whole thing, and it supports us on the journey because we're going to be doing this journey and it helps us out. So that's
Mm.
much appreciated. And yeah, and we'll be gone for a month. We're journeying, you and I, for a month through Egypt.
It's really exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah,
Really looking forward to have you here so people can be
yeah,
live in touch with you.
yeah,
And yeah, let's just see what we can organize.
yeah.
So I hope people had a little bit of an idea about your work and what they can learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
And within 2 weeks you're here. So
Yeah,
let's do it.
that's it. Okay.
Thank you so much, Isaac.
All right, we'll see you later.